A very good evening to you, Overwatch fans. Welcome back to the Overwatch Open, and we've got ourselves an intriguing battle. That's because NRG are going up against Clutch. Now, Clutch have not been too popular amongst the broadcast. They haven't got to the quarterfinals all that often. However, just before we went on air, I was probing the mind of both Fishsticks and Jurasar, and he goes ahead and says they were good, and we're going to find out exactly what he has to say to justify that. I am Alex Machine Richardson. I've got myself a Fishsticks and a Jurasar to talk about this one. They'll be casting it as well. I'm going to call you out right now, Ben. Why?
Sure.
Why were Clutch good, and what happened to them? Because they have just beaten ELEAGUE, a team that we have seen multiple times on broadcast.
Yeah, so Clutch actually showed up big time a couple of months ago in the very first Overwatch LAN for $10,000 at Agents Rising at Esports Arena. I had the pleasure of casting that, and I actually met quite a few of the Colorado Clutch guys, and they came out swinging at that tournament. Not a lot of people had heard of them. They don't have like a super storied background in first-person shooters or in a ton of games, really. Some of them come from League of Legends. They come from all over the place. But at that tournament, they played very, very well. They played super well against Gale Force Esports, who then became TSM, is now Complexity.
Yeah.
They had really nail-biting games against that team. They played well against Team Liquid. They played well the whole tournament long. But since then, they haven't really actually played in a lot of tournaments. They've been a little bit quiet. I think they've been working on strategies behind the scenes, something like that, because they just haven't shown their faces too often.
Or just doing that real life thing.
Yeah,
sometimes
I mean,
you have to just, like, you know, do that thing that called real life. And I know it can be difficult sometimes. We're going to get deep in a moment. No, we're not. NRG, however, are on the other side of things. And that's where John does step in to talk about this one, because they've actually been, like we saw, I remember last week we got excited because they saw the LG to NRG move. Shaq was tweeting, I've got the best roster in all of Overwatch. And they proceeded to get dogged out in the quarters. Is it happening all over again, John?
It is maybe.
What
I would say is
I saw it.
I don't quite share Shaq's enthusiasm that they are absolutely the best team in Overwatch. I think a couple of million people who might have seen week one would disagree with that. However, I would say they are moving in the right direction. It's just that so many teams are catching up at a rapid pace that it makes it look like sometimes they're losing ground if they lose a match. Look at your Fanatics. Look at your TSM Complexities. And other teams like that, everyone is actually stepping up to be that much closer to where Envious are. I don't think that's a sign that NRG are going backwards at all. In fact, they're possibly the most exciting team to watch in North America, because I just love the variety of heroes that they choose that a lot of the other top teams don't. If I really want to get my fix of Junkrat and I have to pick one of the top 4 teams in North America to watch, I'm picking NRG 10 out of 10.
Whether or not you see that on these maps is debatable. You start with Nepal, Lijiang, and Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean,
Hollywood? One time?
That's your Junkrat. That's your Junkrat. But you're saying, oh, wow, Ben, you're going to have to explain to the guys at home why.
No, just a whole lot of King of the Hill. There are only 3 of these maps in the pool, so getting 2 out of the 3 is quite a few of them. And, yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. It's an interesting choice. I wonder how we ended up here. It's happening more and more, though. Yeah, like this is happening. This has become a bit of a recurring theme towards. I think it's primarily actually happened in week 4. We've seen more teams leaving King of the Hill in the map pool. I don't know whether that's people, you know, keeping some pocket picks for later on. I don't know whether that's because they want to get better at it. Because I mean, it seems like the overarching view on the desk here is that King of the Hill is slightly less reliant on strategy and more on mechanical skill. Right? Like that was what me and myself and TP. Team play, of course. I mean, you could almost lump that together with mechanical skill, because to be mechanically skilled as a team, you have to have great coordination. The Zarya bubbles have to go on the Reaper just as he comes in from behind, or the Genji or the Tracer. You have to have great coordination. Same thing could be said for the Winston jumping in.
Sure.
So you need to have that solid communication, just the innate ability to communicate and work together as a team.
And I think that's something that we're hoping to see from Clutch as well. Prediction-wise, do we see a third map, John? That is what I'm asking of you here. NRG have by no means looked, impossible. What's the word? Immortal. They've by no means looked immortal. They've definitely shown that they can bleed.
Infallible.
Ah, you're funny. Infallible, exactly. But if I was asking you, do we see a third map here? What would be your sentiments?
If I was a betting man, and if you ask ZP and Joshi, I most definitely am not suited to that inclination. I would probably say no, we don't see a third map here.
Faith in NRG.
I think we'll get entertaining games. I don't think we'll get walkovers, but I also don't think we'll see a third map.
Having faith in NRG. Now to the North American for some North American Overwatch predictions. What are you saying, Ben?
Honestly, NRG has looked shaky as of late. I mean, they had a switch up. In fact, they've had switch ups consistently over time with their support roles. They've had Indust come in. Now they have Dummy coming back to the team. You know, Dummy has played with Seagull all the way back to the very first phases of the beta, but they've looked shaky with this new form with Dummy on the roster. So I think it's anyone's game.
Let's get.
All right, here we go. Nepal on Sanctum to start things out, and taking a look at the team compositions. Clutch is running with the McCree, while it does look like NRG is opting for the Genji, so that's the only difference between these two teams. Oh, actually, I take that back. Gods is running on Winston, and we have a Reinhardt. So interesting to have Reinhardt here on Sanctum. Not all that unordinary, but I really do think teams are favoring, for good reason, Winston at this point.
Yeah, this is very interesting as well, because the Reinhardt will be good in positions where the team comes together, but ultimately there are a lot of positions here where you can actually shoot from multiple angles if you are able to surround the point. Enigma currently having a whale of a time to start things off, grabbing 2 kills for himself. Is Louis going to try and end that streak? No, he goes down as well. Into the scrap heap you go. Calvin is being sought. He finds it too. Enigma getting 4K, and he's going to go home happy. He's got a pulse bomb available already, and you can see him hitting control in delight as NRG start off on an excellent front foot.
Yeah, Enigma is an incredibly talented tracer. We've known this for a long, long time, and he's really exhibiting that right now. And it's going to be whoever can win this tracer battle is going to make a huge impact. This time it's Calvin, though. This is going to open it up big time for Colorado Clutch, as they're about to capture just a few pixels away from capturing Hamsword on the point. It's going to be an all-out brawl. Seagull does pick up blood, so does Hamsword, and now Seagull with the Genji Blade. It's coming out against discorded targets. That's so tasty as a Genji player. Oh, one after another. Seagull making it happen.
He is indeed, and this is absolutely slaughter. Hot for shots, just holding the point for as long as he can. Don't forget, every second he holds off is another bit of time that they can actually add to that percentage, so definitely worth it while you hold the point. But NRG once again retake. Clutch unable to hold on to that for long. And this Reinhardt versus Winston battle is going to be really interesting, isn't it? Because ultimately, hang on a second, Graviton Surge coming out. Seagull doesn't have an ult available, but does have a lot of DPS. And Transcendence is coming out to save Colorado Clutch. They will not be having another team wipe. And here comes the Graviton Surge going the other way.
Yeah, and Louis with a failed Deadeye there. He will get taken out quickly, but the fight is starting to edge slightly in favor of Clutch. Actually, it's quite even still. It's anyone's fight, but still a very, very slight advantage for Clutch. The question is, will they be able to take advantage of this one-man up? Yes, indeed they have. They have captured the point, but I would expect NRG to rush right back in. They only have one ultimate to their name, but they are close to a second. They have a third, so as soon as Milo gets... oh, okay, that was a total whiff, but as soon as Milo gets the Graviton Surge, we are going to see action, and that is happening right now. Seagull coming out with the blade. Will he be able to collect anything at all, though? Not happening here with only 10 HP. Not 1 HP, 10 HP. He will go down, but it does look like NRG still in the fight here. Enigma, though, so much is on his shoulders here to get the kills that he needs. Hamsword will go down, and now, oh, Enigma makes it happen! They needed to focus on Enigma. He was just 1v1ing one after the next instead of Clutch focusing in on him.
This, I think, is actually one of the big reasons we might want to start off a Winston versus Reinhardt debate. It's very obvious that Clutch's strategy here is to keep the entire team together behind the Reinhardt shield. And I feel like whenever NRG are able to be more mobile, for example, surround the entire pit point, it becomes very difficult for Reinhardt to protect everyone. On the other hand, Winston, you can't protect from one direction that well, but you're really good at leaping in and out and being very mobile. So it's no surprise to me that the mobile heroes, in this case Tracer, is doing extremely well.
All right, it's going to be difficult for Reinhardt to do at times. You know, when he swings that hammer and everyone's super bunched up, it can happen, but I just don't see that happening to NRG here. They're going to spread apart when that Reinhardt comes in, and as you mentioned, Winston is going to be tickling. He's going to be poking. He's going to, especially when everyone gets sucked up into a Graviton Surge, Winston is going to be zapping everyone at once, but this fight continues on, and NRG is dropping faster than Clutch. Louis, and I think Louis is someone that you have to watch out for at home. This guy, he's a 16-year-old player. He was there at the LAN that we saw earlier this year, and Louis, I think, is going to be a star player in the future of Overwatch, already doing wonders there as Reaper.
Well, yeah, exactly. In the future, he just went ahead and grabbed himself 4 kills throughout the course of that team fight, doing incredibly well for himself. Colorado Clutch now back up to 70%, but let's not take anything away from NRG here. They are sitting on 99. They need 1 more conversion on the point, plus basically 5 seconds to get rid of overtime. We'll see if they're able to do that. The collapse now coming in. Seagull with the blade. He needs to make it happen. He wants to ideally kill off. Oh my god, he gets all 4. I was going to say he needs to get the tanks. Never mind that. He's getting the tanks and change and their dog as well. There is absolutely nothing standing in NRG's way now. Absolutely no surprise that this overtime is going to tick down. Can anyone get on the point? No. And Seagull,
wow,
unbelievable, pulls it through for NRG on point number 1.
Well, that was quite a moment for Genji right there. Every time you're playing Genji, you pull out the Dragon Blade and you're able to hit more than 1 person with each slash. Even if you're hitting tanks, you may not even get the kills, but you're doing such a ridiculous amount of damage per second. And that's exactly what we saw out of Seagull, of course, using the dash reset very much to his advantage and making absolute wonders work for his team right there.
Let's talk WGB for a second, because I thought there was one thing Reinhardt did very well on that last point, which was go in with the team behind him. Everyone kept their hit points. It looked really good and coordinated. Once they were on the point, I didn't feel like he was that effective because we did have people like Seagull and Enigma constantly flanking. Is there therefore a case to switch up once you have control of the point? We're sticking with Reinhardt for this phase as well.
You know, this is actually one of the points here on Nepal that I do like Reinhardt more so, because you're so often coming up this staircase, and Reinhardt's shield pretty much covers the whole damn thing. So Milo actually taken down to less than 25% HP, and he will go down so early in this fight, and that early pick is actually going to snowball out of control, lest there's a miracle from NRG. Actually, they have strict back. Enigma will go down, though, so this is starting to look really good for Clutch to get the first capture.
It's also much harder for Winston to slap someone off the edge of the map on this point compared to the last one as well, so completely agreed there. 2 down for NRG to start things off. Clutch will be heading up to 5%, more or less unimpeded to begin.
Yep. All right, so Clutch takes the first capture, and with that, they're going to have a pretty healthy ultimate advantage, although Seagull, man, every time he's brought out that Dragon Blade, it has done a crazy amount of work. So we could see that happen again right here. He's up to 90%. Louis going to go for the flank, but he's been caught out. He's been caught out by too many people. He will have to back off. Does no harm, no foul, though, George.
Exactly right. I think oh, hang on a second. We might actually get a little bit of a wipe here if the rest of the team decide to collapse on it, and that's dangerous when Seagull actually has an ultimate available. He grabs 2. He's looking for, oh man, grabbing the 3rd. He's looking for a 4th. He spots Discord Orb. Not quite able to do it, but Milo getting a double kill off the back of that as well, and Colorado Clutch are going to be pushed back. 40% is the damage caused by them, but now NRG have the momentum, and an interesting dynamic between the ultimates we have here. If we take a look at Louis, who is on Reaper, versus Seagull, who's on Genji, if the whole of NRG bunch up and stay on the point, Death Blossom's going to be absolutely devastating. However, if they spread out and Colorado Clutch aren't actually on the point when they take it, then all of a sudden, Sushi Blade ends up being fantastic because you can dash between targets and kill targets that are very, very far apart. So we'll see how this plays out.
Oh man, that was a huge Earth Shatter, knocking down 4 people onto their asses, and here comes Louis from behind with the speed boost as well. He's still holding on to the Death Blossom, so this fight might be won without even the need to pop it. If you do take a look, though, Gods is going to be hopping up and down, just delaying this as long as he possibly can, and that has allowed them to even it up. It is 40 to 40%, but the control will be switched back on over to Clutch, and they still are holding on to 2 ultimates, so they could be comboing Zarya with Reaper here in a second.
Yep.
But that said, we have Dragon Blade on the other side and both support ultimates, so they're going to be able to engage in a way that Clutch cannot. So I actually think, in terms of ultimate advantage, it's definitely in favor of NRG here.
Graviton Surge coming out now. We're going to see if those kills can actually start getting racked up. God's getting 1 kill, but Louis really using the Death Blossom and only getting 1. The other counter, Graviton Surge coming out now. God's getting a double. Calvin also doing a good job, and I believe that was indeed with Pulse Bomb as well. Only able to get the double so far, though. We don't really have them trickling in, and Enigma is coming in. We've talked about him quite a lot. He seems to be evading that. It's like he's invisible.
Yeah, Enigma, absolutely no questions asked. He is the best Tracer on this team. But Enigma usually playing the flex role, so he does play a lot of tank. This time, though, Gods is switching on over to that tank role, and I do like this switch up by NRG because you do need to have Tracer on almost every King of the Hill map right now. Tracer just feeling so strong that it makes sense that we're not seeing Gods on McCree, we're not seeing Gods on Soldier. He is switching on over to Winston.
It's a really good point, actually, because you'd go Gods, McCree, Enigma, Zarya, Milo on Winston based on historical performance. You see a big switch up there coming out from NRG as Clutch now trading with them 3 for 3. Pook going down as well, which leaves Zarya and Zenyatta as the sole survivors for NRG. Make no mistake, though, that was a little bit of a sloppy engagement. Only 3 players left for Clutch as well, but they are going to end that fight with control of the Shrine.
And now only one last chance here for NRG, as the control has actually changed hands about 5 or 6 times in this map. And that might not sound like a ton, but in pro play, it actually is a significant amount. You know, the control has been rested and unrested just so many times here. Calvin is looking for the flank. Has he been spotted out? He's going straight for the Zenyatta. If he can get this pick, this nerfs this push big time. Dummy is down and out. And actually, look at this. Gods has switched over to D.Va. That's kind of a strange switch. I felt like Winston was working here.
I personally quite like Winston here just because of the ability to hop in and out and control those side points with the bubbles as well. But that it is what it is. D.Va, of course, still quite strong and still very popular in the current meta. Seagull now deflecting and trying to stay on the point as much as possible. He now has his ultimate available.
He's by himself.
This is overtime. He has to buy time. If he buys enough time for the rest of the team to show up,
he's gonna do it.
If he dies, it doesn't even matter as long as everyone else shows up. He does, and he gets enough time. 78% plays 99, but NRG should be able to take it to a mutual overtime now.
Seagull versus the world. Are you kidding me? How did he manage to pull that off versus 3 by himself? I know he got the blade out eventually. Actually, I think he 1v4'd technically in the end there. Nice stuff by Seagull.
Deflect pretty powerful, man, and when you pop an ult and someone goes, well, I have to stand in this guy's way, that is a pretty daunting task. Very well played, and now we have the Lucio ultimate coming straight out for NRG. They want to hold this. They need to take it all the way to overtime. It's there now, but they need to take one final step. Everything's trickling down. Pulse Bomb coming on out doesn't even matter, and Enigma will ensure that NRG go 2-0 up.
And I hate to harp on it too much, but you gotta think, if that was a Winston instead of a Reinhardt, he would have been easily able to zap down Genji in that last fight.
I think
Nonetheless, Seagull putting his team on his shoulders there for a moment and collecting a very impressive victory.
I feel like, how do I put it? Seagull had the last play that was, oh my god, this was amazing, but at the same time, let us not look past Enigma on Tracer, who I think has just been absolutely fantastic all game long. Is that a Shuriken stuck in the basketball? I want one of those. They are strong. They're built to last. Look, it's still bouncing around. It can't deflate. I want one.
Beautiful stuff from NRG so far. Clutch, though, no slouches here. We gotta continue to wonder about the Reinhardt pick. This is another point where Reinhardt's not bad. Every team does like to go top, and having that Reinhardt shield in front is nice.
Yes.
But on the other side, Gods has opted for D.Va for that very same reason. Allow your team the mobility to get through that tight choke point, and Seagull has blood in his... He tastes it, but not enough.
It's his own,
It's going to be a response.
Yeah, exactly right. Unfortunately, he's lying on the ground, and it happens to be his own, but he will be back for more, no doubt. Calvin now is waking up a little bit and is doing a pretty good job on Tracer, trying his best to counter what Enigma is doing, looking for Zenyatta, doing a good job of isolating the other support heroes. And I feel like it's a race between which Tracer is going to be more mobile and more able to diffuse the squishy targets of the other team. So very interesting, very dynamic battle. And it's in these situations that I think Reinhardt becomes less good. Great at the start of the engagement, not so good at the end, because who are you shielding? Maybe 1 or 2 at a time at most?
Yep, and it's really tough when you're playing, when both of the DPS characters for NRG are 2 of the most mobile characters in the game with Tracer and Genji. It's just so hard to take them out with a Reinhardt hammer. And that's where
this is where it's good.
That's where freaking Winston. You can just zap them down.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the start of this engagement is actually really good. Getting everyone behind the shield, got no problem with that whatsoever. I just wonder if Clutch do end up taking this point. If we're go, I guess because there are only 2 entrances onto the point, it's a little bit easier to shield it off, and they do manage to take the point to their credit. Seagull now with the chop, but unfortunately, Earthshatter is going to say absolutely no to that. And this time around, very convincing from Clutch. NRG has gotten completely shut down.
Yeah, shut down here, and Clutch does regain control. It's going to be pretty even on ultimates for this next engagement. In fact, very, very even as we do move on to this next point. It's going to be a whole bunch of ultimates up for both teams. So expect fireworks in this next fight.
All right, we have 4 ultimates up for each side at the moment. Try to take a look at what might be missing. Oh, Hots for Shots will not actually have will not actually have Lucio's ultimate available, so Sound Barrier only here for NRG, but 2 people already down. Pooks and Milo also had ults. I do not recommend they use the rest of them. They're going to have to save them for a big team fight. At the moment, Clutch are just doing a fantastic job of defending the point.
Yeah, and God's still sticking with D.Va here, and I don't hate this choice. D.Va, of course, has the ability to get up top, get the high ground, can shield her team, so it's not a bad choice. But just lately, it just feels like, to me at least, Winston so strong on every capture control point map. So nice start here for NRG as they picked up 2 early.
Yeah, the utility there is going to be particularly crucial with the defensive matrix if D.Va does actually get onto the point. So we'll see if D.Va can justify that then. Maybe they will be able to, though, because NRG have now got the point. So all eyes are going to be on how well Gods ends up being that front shield for the team, and if he can negate basically the damage done by Calvin. I'm looking at Calvin, I'm looking at Louis. I'm thinking potentially reflecting or just absorbing the ultimates from Hamsword, not reflecting, rather. That would be Genji's job, and we'll see. God's now moving on in, not being afraid. Louis spotting him as well, and all of a sudden the team are a little bit scattered on the part of Colorado Clutch. 2 kills going down very shortly. Enigma looking for more, spots Louis, defensive matrix absolutely shielding him there, and we get the double to finish things off. Very nice. Enigma comboing really well there with Gods.
Yeah, and very important for Gods and Enigma to play well together there, because Seagull had to back off for the health kit. So they were down their star DPS player in that last fight, yet Enigma carried through. And that's a good sign for NRG and NRG fans out there, as they are very close to finishing out this first map here, Jorisar. One last push for Clutch.
Oh man, and this could be one last piece of sword play for Genji. Lumberjack goes down, Calvin gets absolutely cut in half, and Louis is about to receive a headache. He is not going to forget anytime soon. Clutch, once again, getting wiped.
I'm pretty sure you can visually see how much NRG has a distaste for Zenyatta. They have targeted Zenyatta first in almost every single battle, whether that's Gods coming in from Winston, or Gods' D.Va, or Tracer, or Seagull. They all happen to go for Zenyatta first in these big engagements, and man, that helps.
All right, well, no surprise given how many.
Give it to me. Too good.
He finishes off with a 5th as well. Enigma getting credited with the last kill. Getting Louis on the way down as well.
I think Seagull wanted credit for that.
Yeah, he just wanted to make sure he had a hand in all 6 there. We absolutely know it. And Nepal, by a scoreline of 3-0, I have to say, there were points where Colorado Clutch made it interesting on the point, but they were in individual fights. There was only one 99-99. Otherwise, it was more or less one-way traffic at a top-line level.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, the control of the point did change so many times in all 3 of the portions of Nepal here. But in the end, was NRG that took the 3-0 win, and they will take the map as well. That said, I'm impressed with Clutch. You know, I'll say it again, Louis is a player that you guys have to be watching out for. This guy is just an incredibly talented DPS player. I would like to see him switch on over to McCree a little bit. If we do see Hollywood, I would expect to see him on McCree as well. But just well played by both teams. NRG really showed up today. You know, Enigma's Tracer, pretty godlike. The ultimates were comboed very well. Frequently, Seagull was hitting multiple people with slashes on a constant level. It looks like we're sticking with King of the Hill.
And, well, I was actually about to discuss this. I think Colorado Clutch have a problem. There are 2 King of the Hill maps in this best-of-3 map pool. They just got 3-0'd, and they have to pick another map. Regardless of what happens, they know they have to go through NRG on another King of the Hill map. So the choices are very simple. Do you switch it up now and try and beat them at something else, knowing that in the end you're going back to King of the Hill and you might get Bs in there? Or do you get the King of Hill out of the way and say, if we can beat them at their own game, this gives us a lot of confidence? In this sense, Clutch have chosen the latter.
Yeah, so we're heading to Lijiang Tower next. Even though that was, in the end, a 3-0 scoreline, pretty close game. I got to give it up to Colorado Clutch, and looking forward to see what they can put together on this next fight. It's going to be Lijiang Tower, the next capture point. Excuse me, not capture, it's King of the Hill. So we're going to see who comes out on top in control. But great play all around, and excited to see what's coming next.
Exactly right. A lot of great individual performances from NRG, but where they really stood out were the small places where you actually saw the team play. So D.Va, for example, comboing very well with Tracer towards the end of that third point. Can they keep it up for another 3 points now, or potentially up to 5 on Lijiang Tower? We'll be going to a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, more NRG versus Colorado Clutch.